Welcome to Jackson Reviews, the channel where I go through the best and worst horror movies so you don't have to. I'm Sam Jackson. Today we're going to be going through Friday the 13th A New Beginning, released in 1985. This is the fifth film, released less than a year after the final chapter, the fourth film, so you already know there's something weird going on with this movie before it even begins. And that sum up is Paramount like money. At least on a positive note, the film was a massive departure from a few of the other films that have come previously. It's not set anywhere near Crystal Lake. A lot of the old tropes of just seeing Jason slash people have kind of faded a little bit because you don't see Jason until like the last 5 to 10 minutes or something, so at least there's that. The film also acts a lot more like a psychological horror film, a bit similar to how Scream would kind of portray itself a little bit later, minus the self-parody, where basically you don't know who the killer is unless you actually watch the film, and where you're not meant to know who the killer is, even though it's extremely obvious just saying, and you're kind of meant to deduct as more characters die and all that kind of stuff. And to that, I have to give them credit at least for trying something new, because the formula was getting really stale by this point, so at least they thought of doing something different. The film itself though was very negatively received, or at least very mixed. Neither fans nor critics liked it, and for the first time ever for this franchise, fans and critics actually agreed it's a bad entry. Like, there's no need for it at all, it's there just to make money, and so Paramount were able to get more out of like the IP basically, and honestly, until like the last parts, it's not really a Friday the 13th movie. It's just a kind of shitty slasher film that takes place in the same universe as Friday the 13th. At least one of the positives to this film is that Tommy Jarvis returned and was one of the few characters to officially return to a sequel. And before then we only saw Jimmy in like a flashback in part 3, and a different actress played Chris for like a second, as one of my commenters pointed out. Yeah, I have commenters now. But because of all the negativity with like this new killer and the fact that the new killer was shit and the entire reveal of it was pretty shit, Paramount for the sixth film ended up going back to Jason anyway in a pretty cool way. But sadly, before I can get onto that awesome film, we have to go through this pile of trash, so I apologise in advance. And with all that crap out of the way, let's get straight into this review. The movie begins with a scene set a couple of years after the previous film, following a still Corey Feldman version of Tommy, watching several gravediggers. They're randomly digging up Jason with no real context. This is one of the many parts of this film which are dumb diddly dum, when Jason comes to life for no reason, and was buried with a machete, and a screwdriver, just so we can get some more forced kills out of this movie, and trust me, there's a lot of them, so prepare. Then Jason approaches Tommy in like a similar way that the actor did with part 4, in quite menacing and aggressive tone, and then Corey Feldman becomes John Shepherd because Corey Feldman was busy with other projects such as The Goonies, so to be fair, well done to him for not returning for this one, even though from the sounds of it Corey Feldman has regretted this a few times in his career. Things aren't good for Corey Feldman, and I still think he deserves a chance. The rest of the movie is set around about 5 years after that weird dream sequency thing, which isn't real, but maybe we don't know. Tommy is sent to a mental health treatment facility. We meet with some new set of victims. Don't worry about their names again, because these are literally the most disposable characters I have ever met in a slasher movie. Like, when rewatching this, it's when I learned some of their names, and I've seen this film about like 4 times. I still don't know all their names, and still don't. The only real exceptions for this is Matt Letter, who owns this mental place, and Pam Roberts, aka the Final Girl. There's also Tommy's really douchey driver, don't worry, he'll get it. As well as Tommy's new roommate, Reckless Reggie, or the Banshee. I will explain the Banshee's name later on, and you will understand exactly where I'm coming from. We then meet even more characters, including Reggie's grandpa, 2 more random victims who get out of a police car, the police sheriff himself, as well as Hillbillies Ethel and her son Junior. There's also a diet-needing victim, Joey, and he's just so fucking annoying after all these people leave. He gets in the way, and he's dirtying sheets and just, oh fucking hell. Joey's the new Shelley, isn't he? Well, Vic certainly thinks so decides to axe him from the script. Hey Matt, you know when you open the centre for mentally disturbed people, maybe don't give one of them an axe. You know, just for next time, which to be fair there isn't, but don't give crazy people an axe. It's simple logic. Vic then gets arrested, and the person who I originally thought was going to be the killer of this film is now taken away, and Joey gets taken away by 2 more characters to be buried. There's Dickie Van Driver number 1, and Roy, who is a completely normal guy. Then even more characters are introduced. Two random greasers who literally die in the same scene they're introduced in, with even duller and like cheaper looking effects and the eyeball popping in part 3. Then we get another scene where the ambulance drivers take away the bodies and Roy shows again he's a totally normal guy.
What the hell's going on here? You talking to me, Sheriff?
Totally normal guy. And we then get the usual boring scenes and oh look, a new character. More boring scenes and holy shit! Another new character. Jesus Christ, this movie is trying to cram in as many deaths as it possibly can. She shows off her tits in the very first scene that she's in, so she's definitely making it to the oh no, she's dead. Oh, and at least so it's a douchey driver from earlier, so hey, that's a victory, I guess. We then get a weird kinky scene where definitely not Roy kills a character who was randomly introduced earlier to Ethel, and then awkward, very long-lasting sex scene occurs. Like, they're randomly murdered just because, hey, we need more body count, but at least the kills are pretty cool. Tina has her eyes gouged out by garden shears, and then like the shears are slammed shut, cutting open her head. Then Eddie gets his head crushed by having a belt wrapped around his head, and it gets so tight, like from definitely not Roy tightening it, like it just crushes his skull. It's fucking brutal. We then get another fucking bunch of characters introduced, and this is just, he's called Demon because he's edgy or something, and it's Reggie's older brother. And hey look, Demon even has a girlfriend. She's definitely gonna die. Oh yeah, weird toilet duet. She gets slashed, he gets impaled. You've seen all these kills before, except done a lot better. At least during this scene, Tommy finally beats the shit out of Junior, and like, Junior then goes around his house, like, in a really small circuit, and just pisses off his mum, but definitely not Roy then cuts his head clean off, so, hey, maybe we'll see a romance between definitely not Roy and Ethel. And oh, no, he's done with her shit too. He slams a cleaver through the window, killing her, and like, is it weird how Ethel's my favourite character in this film? We then get more boring drama and bad acting before definitely not Roy murders one of your kids. And then like the slasher staple starts and just starts killing everyone in the house. We get another stab under the bed, which is easily the worst out of the 3 we've seen so far. My personal favourite is the one from part 3. I know the one with Kevin Bacon's like famous and shit, but I just like it more because the reveal and it's cool. But definitely not Roy also takes out some of his anger on a pillowcase. Wait. That's meant to be him stabbing a person? Where did they spend this budget? We then get the final girl run, but this time with 2 characters. With both Pam and Reckless Reggie. They find the bodies of the 3 teen victims and holy shit, it's Jason! Or someone wearing a Jason mask. What a fucking shock in a Friday the 13th movie. But with this final girl run, the filmmakers were quite clever and decided to make the budget even more cheap. Yes, cheaper than the fucking pillowcase. All the characters that we've forgotten about who were introduced earlier, such as the douchey driver and shit like that, they're all found dead. Oh, and we also learn the origins of Reggie's nickname. You're welcome. We find more bodies, and then we end up doing a Chris Higgins run and hide off in the barn to fight off the killer. We get a very familiar scene where the final girl holds off Jason for a bit until someone comes to the rescue and fails, except wait, it's Tommy! Holy shit! Maybe she'll have the chance. After all, Tommy's the biggest badass of a French. Oh, he went down like a little bitch. Oh, that's a shame since they showed him to be such a badass earlier on in the fucking film. Why was that so much wasted potential? Pam and Reggie then fight him off in the loft area of the barn in a similar way to how Chris did in part 3. And nearly win, except nope. It's a rule. You can't push a slasher killer to the death. You gotta like hit him with something for him to fall or some shit. You can't just push him. That's just cheap and unfair. But hey, Tommy's still alive apparently, so he's able to help him and just casually stabs definitely not Roy in the hand, and then definitely not Roy falls and gets impaled on some farm spikes. But oh my god, the fake Jason mask's fallen off. Who's the killer gonna be, guys? Oh, it's Roy. Who could have seen that coming? We then get the outro scene that's played in every single Friday the 13th movie, where the actress who plays Pam obviously doesn't want to be there for Roy's shit backstory motives. His fat kid's dad and went crazy because his son was murdered, blah blah blah, even though his son was abandoned at the fucking camp and didn't know his fucking dad was. We then get another staple of Friday the 13th movies with a fake out dream sequence, where Tommy is hinted at by being the killer and stabs Pam, but it's obviously a dream sequence. And then in a second dream sequence within the first dream sequence, the real Jason tells him to key ma. And the film ends in the exact same way that part 4 does, like massively hinting that Tommy's going to be the next kill of the film. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. And that's it. Friday the 13th A New Beginning is officially over and is easily the worst in the series so far. And if you disagree with me, I will happily explain why. The film is so fucking cheap and cheesy. Like, the film's biggest selling point is like the whole you don't know who the killer is, but if you just watch the film with even the slightest like knowledge and if you're actually watching it properly, it's ridiculously obvious. Like, the worst part is as well, like, you're not invested in caring to begin with, because the only part that's actually that good with this film is the beginning, and even that makes absolutely no sense. I mean, it was nice seeing Corey Feldman return for the role, but obviously it was just unnecessary, and was obviously just there just to show, hey look, we've got a new actor, but they're playing the same character. I mean, that couldn't have been figured out with just a bit of dialogue where someone says, hi Tommy. Another big issue here is the directing as well. Like, even though the director of Part 4 was a horrible bastard, at least he knew, like, what nice shots were. A lot of these kills, like, instead of being the gorgeous, artistic, but very dark kills that there were in the previous film, they're just really crap and cheap close-ups, like the kind of stuff you'd expect a film student like me to make, instead of like a $3 million budgeted movie to do. Another one of the issues is just the constant flow of characters. Like, only about 7 of the characters are actually related to the plot, whilst the rest of them are literally just there to basically be cannon fodder. They're there to die and up the body count because the studio knew no one would want to watch this film without Jason being in it, and just tried their best to throw as many deaths as possible while still slashing the budget for the actual death sequences. I will openly state a couple of the kills are like awesome as shit. Like the 2 sexed up teens who are murdered in the woods, both their kills are awesome, but every other kill that comes after that is so cheap and so obviously boring. Like, even the kills that are kind of good, they're just rip-offs of previous kills, such as the bed one. Another one of the biggest problems is the ending, where once again it hints at Tommy being the killer, like that wasn't the hint at the last film or anything. And that's kind of what this film tried to hint at all the way through, until it suddenly decided, no, let's change that last-minute script and have Rory be the killer, because everyone remembers Rory and loves him. It cheapens the film, and it just makes it seem literally like it was a cash grab, which in fact it was. But at least pretend it isn't. Hell, the next film is obviously just a cash grab, but at least that one knows, like, how to be entertaining, whilst this one just knows how to copy an old formula, edit it enough so it's boring, and then release it with shit characters. The writing's also really poor, like I said earlier, and I've said quite a few times now. Just the fact that they introduce characters who die in the exact same scene shows that the script must have only been around about like an hour long, and they needed to extend it and just had more characters die, like have more audience members want to watch it because more characters die, but that doesn't make a good Friday movie. I don't see why so many Friday films that people seem to like are the ones where characters just die for no reason. It's much more entertaining if you know who they are, which is luckily what happens in the next film. For this film, the 5 fun facts are at least quite fun compared to the main movie. The film's working title was called Repetition, and it was basically there so neither the cast or nor some of the crew knew this was originally going to be a Friday the 13th movie. It also stops possible leaks where people are saying they're working on it when they just say we're working on a new film called Repetition. And after it was released, and some cast members actually found out because they didn't know beforehand, a lot of them expressed a lot of disappointment. The director Danny Steinman previously worked in porn and didn't really do much after this apart from porn, so a lot of the creepy shots where he's obviously making like the actresses get their tits out, it is literally him basically wanking over himself and going, hey, remember when I used to do porn? I sure do. He also, I'm not sure if this was a joke or anything, but in one of the interviews he stated that he basically shot a porno out there, and I can't tell if this is him like joking and saying that he just shot a lot more nude scenes that were cut out, or he literally filmed a porno there at the same time, or before then. And either way, that's really disturbing and creepy. In the original storyline idea, it was basically the same stuff, except Corey Feldman was going to take the role and we wouldn't have done this time shift that they did. But because of his commitment stuff, they did have to recast him and decide to set it at the time it was released, so it made more sense. And I can't fault him for that, and I can't fault Corey Feldman for not returning for this one, because he did do stuff like The Goonies at this point, and that's the reason why he was famous up until the 90s, to be fair, so I can't disagree with that. But the good news is, the reason why he actually appeared in this film is he took time out of his own schedule just to be in it. Because he loved his work on the previous film so much, and I think that's kind of sweet in retrospect. This is the only film not to have Jason in it officially, at all. Even in the first one, when we saw flashbacks of what Pamela Voorhees could see with Jason drowning in the water, that is the real Jason drowning at least, and not like a dream sequence, it's more a flashback. Whilst this one, it's all imaginary and dream sequencing, and I think that's kind of weird, but also quite interesting. And at least it showed that even though they failed at it, Paramount were very much set on doing this new killer routine, so I have to congratulate them for at least trying, even if it didn't really succeed. Although due to the awful reception of this film, Paramount instantly decided to like bring in a fan basically to do it, and that was Tom McLaughlin. And even though he is also a filmmaker and he has done projects before and after Friday the 13th Part 6, he was openly a massive fan of a franchise, and he was very happy when he was chosen to do Part 6, which I'm looking forward to going through, if I'm being honest. Now, for a bonus fun fact, Roy has been very recently added into the Friday the 13th game, and the weird part is his reception is so much more positive than this film as a whole. Fans seem to be loving the fact that they've brought in this character and the map just being very self-aware. I mean, if you knock off Jason's mask, then Rory's face is underneath it, and I think that's fucking great and perfect. And my friend Johnny loves it. Now, for my actual honest opinion of this film, I don't like it. Like, it's just directly, I don't enjoy this film that much. I don't think it's as bad as people say, like they say it's the worst thing that's ever happened ever. It's not that bad. But it's definitely like my top 3 worst Friday films, which is a shame since, like, the first 4 were, like, at least passable with a couple of them. Like, none of them were bad movies, but with this, it's just directly bad. And it's kind of everything that's wrong with the slasher genre and why so many people dislike it. I know like I've compared it to 4 a lot, but it is worse since it comes directly after 4, which is like a brilliant slasher film compared to this, because it has all the correct elements necessary for a good storyline, and it's got awesome kills and interesting characters. This has none of that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Another reason I didn't release my Hellraiser Judgment video last week was honestly I did record it, I was halfway editing it, and it didn't go right, it didn't flow or anything like that, so I'm just pushing that back, and Hellraiser is now going to be this next series that I go through, but I'm going to have a couple of just random reviews before then, like I did for my Cloverfield one. Also, after this review of Part 6, I should be releasing a review for the first Cloverfield movie, then I'll go Friday 13th, 7, 8, 9, then Cloverfield Lane, then finish off the Friday series, just because honestly, just doing all these films in a row, it'd get really boring for both me and the audience, so if I mix it up a little bit with some Cloverfield films, I'm happy with that, and I hope people are too. So anyway, if you did enjoy this, please be sure to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!